The paradox, needing nothing attracts everything. There is a silence that speaks louder than any desire, a sacred stillness in which the universe listens. Ancient sages whispered that when one reaches the point of needing nothing, the gates of abundance mysteriously open. But why? Because craving is noise, and the cosmos, my dear seeker, responds to resonance, not noise. The alchemy of attraction lies not in pursuit, but in presence. As we shed the weight of wanting, we attune to a different frequency, one woven from cosmic energy, a vibration only accessed through internal clarity. The wisdom passed down from mystics, hidden in texts forbidden to the masses, has always hinted at this truth. When you stop asking, you start receiving. Imagine a calm, untouched lake reflecting the heavens above. Its surface is a mirror, unbroken by ripples of desperation. So too is the mind that has transcended craving, still, lucid, luminous. Laozi, in his Tao Te Ching, offered a cryptic key. If you want to be full, let yourself be empty. This isn't metaphor, it's metaphysics. A still mind, empty of desire, mirrors the infinite. In that mirror, the secrets of illumination are quietly unveiled. From Sufi poets to Himalayan monks, from desert hermits to Zen masters, this paradox was never meant to be solved intellectually, but lived spiritually. One does not find the treasure by digging, one becomes the treasure by stopping the digging. The paradox is a sacred gate. On one side stands the common man, always reaching, always seeking. On the other side is the awakened soul, radiant, magnetic, unattached. Have you noticed how those who seem to need nothing often have everything come to them? This isn't coincidence. It is the secret mechanism of universal flow. In the space between desire and detachment lives the law of reflection. Not the law of attraction as you were told in watered-down teachings, but something far older, cloaked. In the language of the ancients, this principle appears again and again in the annals of Sabadoria ancestral, waiting for those ready to see the hidden order behind what seems like chaos. To need nothing is not to renounce life. It is to embrace it without chains. True detachment does not strip one of joy, it deepens it. When you no longer cling to outcomes, you enter a dance with the divine current. Rumi hinted at this dance, saying, "Try to become not a man of success, but a man of value." But value is cultivated in the void, in the sacred silence that desire veers. There, in the temple of the unspoken, energy flows unobstructed. Alchemia Interior transmutes longing into serenity, craving into confidence. In this sanctuary, the soul rests and receives, not because it asked, but because it became the kind of vessel that can hold the cosmos. And this is where the veil begins to lift. When you drop the illusion of needing, you stop blocking what seeks to find you. A river never chases the ocean, yet it always arrives. The journey of letting go becomes a revelation of design, a map drawn in symbols and dreams. Textos Prohibidos have long hinted at this, that the ultimate secret of manifestation lies not in the force of will, but in the art of surrender. But what if this surrender is only the first step? What if behind this mystery lies an even deeper layer, a power born not only from letting go, but from trusting what flows in? That, my friend, brings us to our next revelation, the power of surrender and detachment surrender, a word feared by the ego, but revered by the soul. In our world, we are taught to fight, to push, to force outcomes through sheer will. But the masters, the ones who walked in silence and knew the language of stars, knew another way. They whispered that true power is not in domination, but in release. To surrender is not to give up, but to give in to the rhythm of the universe, to the deeper intelligence beneath appearances. It is to bow not in weakness, but in sacred trust, And that trust is not blind. It is born of ancient memory, the kind that lives within your DNA, encoded by sabiduria ancestral, waiting to be reawakened. To detach is not to abandon. Detachment is clarity. It is the act of standing still while the storm rages, knowing the storm is not who you are. In the oldest mystical traditions, detachment was the bridge between illusion and truth. The Bhagavad Gita speaks of it. The Tao embraces it. Even the Desert Fathers lived it. The soul, when uncloaked from desire, becomes a conduit for divine will. When you stop chasing love, success, peace, they come. Why? Because detachment tunes you to the field of Energia Cosmica, where synchronicity replaces struggle and miracles become mundane. In this field, the more you release, the more you receive. Surrender is the open hand that catches the falling star. It is the womb of creation, receptive and fertile. In esoteric Christianity, Mary was the embodiment of divine surrender. Her yes to the unknown became the portal for incarnation. Likewise, in Sufi mysticism, Fana, the annihilation of the self, leads not to emptiness, but to union. This is not poetry, it is blueprint. To detach is to align with a higher intelligence, to trust that life knows more than your plans. You are not forsaking the path, you are being carried by it. And in this sacred movement, alquimia interior occurs. The lead of fear is transmuted into the gold of grace. But here lies the paradox. Surrender cannot be faked. You cannot pretend to trust while secretly clinging to control. The universe reads vibration, not intention. And so, surrender becomes a process of purification, a shedding of false identities, of inherited expectations, of survival-based thinking. This is the path walked by mystics who disappeared into caves, deserts, and forests, not to escape the world, but to unlearn it. In those silent retreats, they discovered the rhythm of the divine pulse, the whisper of truth in the void. They emerged radiant, magnetic, luminous. They no longer needed the world, and so the world came to them. And just when you think surrender is the end of the road, another layer unveils itself. What if detachment is not just about letting go of desires, but about embracing something far more potent? What if, in surrendering, you activate a dormant force within you, a current that does not need to chase because it knows its place in the sacred design? This current, my friend, is the key to the next level of reality, and to unlock it, we must step beyond the known, into the great mystery of the void. The void as a creative source. The word void evokes fear in many, as if it were a space of annihilation or absence. But to the initiated, the void is not emptiness. It is potential in its most sacred form. It is the cosmic womb, the primordial darkness from which all light is born. Mystical traditions across time, Taoist, Buddhist, Christian, Hesychast, and Sufi, speak not of fearing the void, but of entering it reverently. It is the space before thought, before form, before name. Within it dwell the codes of all existence encrypted in silence. In the void, one does not lose the self. One dissolves into a greater self, one made not of ego, but of pure energia, cosmica. The ancient Egyptians called it the Nun, the primordial waters of chaos before creation. In Kabbalistic texts, it appears as Ein Sof, the infinite nothing that precedes all emanation. In Buddhist Zen, the void is Sunyata, the sacred emptiness that holds the fullness of being. These are not metaphors. They are mystical blueprints, maps to a realm that cannot be spoken but can be known. The mind resists the void because it cannot control it. But the soul longs for it remembers that all true creation emerges from this place. It is here that alquimia interior begins, not with the act of doing, but with the art of becoming still. Within the void, inspiration is not summoned. it arrives. Healing does not need to be forced. It unfolds. This is where prophets received visions, where sages birthed new worlds, where silence became scripture. The most powerful revelations in history were not written. They were received in moments of profound emptiness. Think of the mystics who retreated into deserts, caves, and forests. They were not escaping, they were incubating. And when they emerged, their voices echoed with the vibration of truths not found in books, but in the space between thoughts. These were not ordinary ideas. They were fragments of illumination, spiritual, downloaded from the source beyond language. To fear the void is to fear your own power, because in the stillness of nothing, you are confronted with everything. The ego trembles here, but the spirit rejoices. The ancient texts prohibidos, hidden away by those who feared their liberating potential, often spoke of the void as a mirror. It shows you who you truly are when all distractions fall away. It reveals what you are capable of when the external world no longer defines you. In this sacred emptiness, you are not a beggar of reality. You become its co-creator. The old self dies here, and something cosmic is born in its place, without name, without boundary, without fear. But even now, we've only touched the edge of the mystery. Because if the void is the womb, then something must emerge from it, something alive, something luminous. What is born from such stillness? What force rises when we stop grasping and allow creation to unfold from silence? The answer lies in the next revelation, one that speaks not just of stillness, but of motion without force, of action without effort, of a rhythm that dances through all things. This brings us to an ancient concept, often misunderstood, yet encoded in the very heart of esoteric wisdom: effortless action and trust in the flow. In the heart of Taoist wisdom lies a paradox so subtle it escapes those who move too fast. The secret of Wu Wei, effortless action, is not laziness nor passivity, but the sacred art of aligning with the natural flow of the universe. Wu Wei does not ask you to do nothing, but to stop doing what is against your essence. Imagine a leaf floating downstream. It does not resist, does not steer, yet it travels further than the branch that battles the current. This is not submission. It is attunement. When your actions emerge from presence, not panic, from intuition, not impulse, you become a vessel of energia cosmica, moving in harmony with the infinite. The mystics knew this. From the Taoist hermits to the Zen masters and the alchemists of the Renaissance, all spoke in veiled language of this dance with the divine current. Even Jesus, withdrawing into the desert, taught not only in words, but in pauses, in presence. True action, they said, does not emerge from control, but from surrender to a higher rhythm. The concept echoes in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna teaches Arjuna to act without attachment to results. This is the root of sacred discipline, action, born from a still heart, an illuminated center that knows when to speak, when to move, and when to wait. Alchimia Interior refines your will until it becomes transparent to the will of the cosmos. You've been taught to hustle, to grind, to push. But tell me, what if the most powerful things in your life came not through force, but through flow? What if success, love, healing, and purpose are not prizes to be hunted, but frequencies to be tuned into? There are moments, perhaps in meditation, or silence, or even deep grief, when something else begins to act through you. You write without planning, speak without thinking, love without walls. This is not coincidence. It is the current of Wu, moving through your spirit, reminding you that you are not separate from the river. You are made of it. In this flow, even the impossible begins to feel inevitable. But here's the mystery they never taught in school. When you trust the flow begins to trust you. Life opens its doors not to those who demand, but to those who listen. The Texts prohibidos of the Essenes, the hidden scrolls of early Buddhists, the Gnostic writings, each concealed the same whisper, "Stop resisting, and the truth will reveal itself." In that surrender, action becomes sacred. You make fewer moves, but they have greater impact. You stop chasing outcomes and become the axis upon which outcomes revolve. This is the gateway to true mastery, not of others, but of the self. And in this mastery, you become an agent of illumination as spiritual in a world addicted to struggle. And now, as the final veil begins to lift, I ask you, what would your life look like if every action was aligned with the deeper intelligence of existence? What if you no longer feared uncertainty but flowed with it? This is not fantasy. It is the forgotten reality behind every ancient mystery. And as we conclude this journey through paradoxes, silence, surrender, and flow, a new journey begins. One that asks not for answers, but for presence. Not for control, but for connection. And that, beloved seeker, is where the real transformation begins. Have you ever felt like there's a hidden order behind the chaos of your life? A secret rhythm guiding your steps, waiting patiently to be discovered? What if I told you that the truths you've been seeking aren't out there, but within you, concealed beneath layers of noise, fear, and forgotten wisdom? This isn't just another video. This is a portal, and once you step through it, your perception of reality, of self, of purpose, of power, will never be the same again. For centuries, ancient mystics and forbidden texts have hinted at a paradox too powerful for ordinary understanding. That to receive everything, you must first need nothing. That surrender is not weakness, but the ultimate strength. That the void is not absence, but a source of creation itself. And that true power flows not from force, but from harmony with the invisible current of life. These aren't poetic ideas, they're spiritual technologies encoded in the Sabiduria ancestral of those who walked before us. In this journey, I'll guide you through revelations hidden in plain sight. You'll encounter misterios occultos that challenge the logic of the modern world and experience alquimia interior as we dismantle the illusions that keep you stuck. This is not about motivation. It's about transformation. Deep, spiritual, irreversible transformation. If you're ready to leave behind the scripted life and remember the cosmic being that you are, stay with me, because once you hear what I'm about to share, you won't be able to unhear it. These aren't concepts to entertain, they are truths that demand embodiment. Prepare yourself, because the deeper we go, the less familiar things will feel. And yet something inside you will remember, as if it always knew. Are you ready to cross that threshold? Then comment your thoughts below, and subscribe, because what comes next may just rewrite the way you see reality itself. Now that the veils have lifted and ancient truths have resurfaced, I ask you, what part of your life still resists the flow? What illusion are you ready to surrender so that the real you may finally emerge? These revelations are not meant to be stored, they are meant to be lived. So tell me, which of these truths struck you the deepest? Leave your reflection in the comments. I read every word. And if this journey opened something within you, share this video with someone ready to awaken. Subscribe to the channel, because this is only the beginning. The next revelation is already waiting for you. We'll meet again, beyond the surface where the real mysteries begin.